Indian skimmer is an endangered bird seen only in handful number of places, with Satkosia being one of them. In this video, you will be able to see this rare bird skimming, feeding, flying, roosting, fighting, and doing many other things. Do watch it in 4K. In Satkosia Tikorpara area, you see them in winter on the river banks in Mahanadi Gorge Sanctuary. You need to ride a boat from the boating point in Crocodile and Gharial Research Center. Please check Satkosia boating video in my channel for more details on how to reach the boating point. We were the first to get into the boat. We checked with locals on the day before to confirm the skimmers were on the left side of the river where boating is allowed. If they are on the right, you need to see them from ground from the sunset point. We booked an entire boat so that we could focus only on Indian skimmer. 3 to 4 people can share a boat, but any more would be a challenge. I used tripod and helped on ground shots, but for the flight or skimming shots, you need to go handheld. It was a cold, foggy winter morning in December. With the mists covering the adjacent hills, it was looking mysterious place, reminding me of some scenes I have seen in sci-fi movies. We are hoping the wind to pick up and remove the fog. We had the information that the skimmers were roosting on the left side of the river bank, so we were closely watching that side. Suddenly we spotted few birds on that side of the river. We got excited and the boat was turned towards that. As we approached the area, a thick layer of fog started covering the area. Through binoculars, we could identify the birds as Indian skimmer. But before we could take any picture, the visibility was gone totally. We were waiting anxiously. We could hear the call of the bird and pray it won't fly away, especially not to the upstream where boating is not allowed. When we saw the other side of the river, it seemed as if fogs are traveling in layers. After some time, a little bit of a light emerged and we saw there was a narrow stretch of riverbed where around 50 to 60 Indian skimmers were there. We asked boatmen to anchor the boat at a safe distance. We took some pictures but was not of great quality due to low light and fog. But it was wonderful to watch them through binocular and camera lens. We found many birds preening and cleaning its feathers by dipping the beak in water. You will see this many times in this video and the pictures later on also. I wanted to check the water to know more about the habitat. It was clear water with sandbed on the bottom. Didn't see any underwater vegetation. Water was moving and it was cold. As I was bringing my GoPro out of the water, saw 3 skimmers flying on the water. Light was improving gradually and the activity was also picking up. Interestingly, a motorized boat was passing by and it was really loud. But the birds were unperturbed. Guess they got habituated. Our guide cum driver Sunil Kumar Shahu told us that generally they come in November and starts leaving after February. In 2024, they came a bit earlier in October. He also informed he found a part of the flock stays in the area and breeds in May-June. Sunil did all the arrangements for us, including booking the boat and guiding us to the place where we saw the Indian skimmer. Please check his interview video in my channel to get his contact details and plan your trip. With the sky cleared up and sunshine falling on the birds, we could take many pictures as the birds were preening their feathers, drinking water and doing other things. There are 3 types of skimmers seen in the world. Indian skimmer seen in Indian subcontinent, African skimmer as the name suggests in Africa, and black skimmer in Americas. While both African and black skimmers have the entire upper part black, Indian skimmer has a white collar which is distinctly visible in adults, especially in breeding plumage. Both African and black skimmer population are stable and considered as least concerned from conservation standpoint. However, the total population of Indian skimmer is estimated around 6,000 to 10,000 birds and declining. Hence, it is in endangered status. Loss of habitat influenced by human is the primary cause, like sand mining from sandbars and riverbeds. Hope we can put a check on this and their population rebounds in coming years. Please note the identification pointers of the bird. Black above and white below body with broad white forehead and red bill with long yellow tip. Lower mandible is much longer. Non-breeding adult has brown upper parts. Juvenile is similar to non-breeding adult and heavily mottled above and much shorter, duller bill. You will see all kinds of birds in this video and use these features to determine their age. It was funny to watch them doing mock fights for territory. We were lucky as there were no other tourists and we could watch them happily. Chambal and Satkosia are two main spots to see this beautiful bird in India, though we are seeing some good pictures coming from Nal Sarovar also recently. It moves farther up in northern India during breeding time, which is February to June. It is also seen in few other South Asian countries. As you would see in the photo and video, they feed on water by skimming the surface with lower mandible. The upper mandible remains open and it shuts once it senses it caught something. It can be fish, shrimp or insect larva. It swallows the catch in the flight or after landing. Generally, it feeds in shallow water. We found the areas it was skimming were 2 to 3 feet deep. I read it is active in twilight time around dusk and dawn and often feed nocturnally. Read the reason might be stronger winds during daytime which affects their flight pattern as they need to maintain constant distance from water surface for skimming, which is a tough job in high winds. Maybe because of that we didn't see much feeding happening during the broad daylight when we visited the place. With standard portrait shots done, we wanted to get some skimming shots which gave the name to the bird. Suddenly, the flock flew from the noise of chatter. Took a few flight shots. Started following a bird, hoping it would skim something. It did fly close to the water, but didn't skim. Most of the birds again landed on the same spot they flew away from. They did it several times during our trip, which assures once they pick a spot, they generally stick to that area for a while. However, post-landing, there were some territorial fights to get the desired spot. was time for the flock on the first side to fly. This time they were flying a bit erratic and found many birds flying low and piercing the water surface with its beak. After a couple of failed attempts to track the right bird, I reduced the zoom and had a wide field of view. As you can see in the image, the birds in the middle doing the typical skimming on the river. Slowly, I could get better in tracking the birds more closely and could zoom in to focus on handful birds. Finally, with the confidence growing, I started focusing on single bird and got lucky a few times and got the desired pictures. With that, our first boat trip was over. We came back again, but this time on a shared boat where we spent most of the time in other wildlife viewing. Please check my Satkosia boating video for that. In the second trip also, we found the skimmers on the same spot. In that flock, it was mostly Indian skimmer only. Saw one common sandpiper, one common green shank, couple of river terns and black-bellied terns nearby. Found most birds roosting this time with few drinking water or preening. Few were flying but didn't see any feeding behavior. Saw two Indian skimmers a bit far from the flock. They were showing a bit interesting behavior. It will be great if anyone can share in the comments what it means. Assuming it is a pair, the smaller one is female and the larger one is male. With that, our time for the second boat ride was also over. We turned around our boat and said goodbye to these beautiful but sadly endangered birds. Hope to see them again in Satkosia or Chambal or other places in future. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and watch many similar videos on birding and nature, especially my 7 video series on Satkosia. Thanks for watching.